My name is Siti Zarina. My metric number is 263713. I will start with the introduction first. Overlapping territorial and sovereignty dispute in the South China Sea involving nations and the surrounding country, such as Philippines, Brunei, Vietnam, and China, has raised grave concern on the long-term stability and security in the region. Overlapping and territorial dispute always occur in the South China Sea, and there must be a reason why the issue of overlapping and territorial dispute between countries in the South China Sea always happen. This is because it is estimated that access to about 10% of the world commercial fish stock and about 11 billion barrels of oil reserves are located in the South China Sea. So, most of the claiming states are adamant to defend their claims in the semi-enclosed sea due to the potential risk of hydrocarbon resource and fishery stock. So, there are the reasons why overlapping and territorial dispute always occur in the South China Sea. Even there are issues on overlapping and dispute between countries in the South China Sea, but the country managed, especially Malaysia, managed to have a joint and development area of oil and gas between with neighboring country to develop marine resource with the neighboring country. So I pass to the next presenter, Nur Azizah, to explain more about the areas that are commercially valuable for developing hydrocarbon resources such as petroleum and natural gas, especially in the South China Sea.
Thank you, Siti Zarina. Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Aziza binti Muhammad Yani. My metric number is 262768. I will continue with my part, which will cover about the background and the evidence of oil and gas sources in the South China Sea. Next is about the oil and gas exploration area in the South China Sea. The South China Sea is the water that covers the territory of several countries in Southeast Asia. The South China Sea embraces an area of about 1,423,000 square miles, with a mean depth of 3,976 feet. The South China Sea is rich in natural resources such as oil and gas and has an important role as a route for world oil distribution and shipping. Besides, the South China Sea is also considered very strategic because it has an international trade route, so it plays an important role for some countries for economic survival. Furthermore, within the South China Sea region, there are the Spratly Island, Paracel Island, Pratas Island, and the Makerfield Islands. The South China Sea has the potential to provide benefit in the form of natural resources such as oil and gas. Therefore, the South China Sea is an area that is widely claimed by countries around the area such as China, Taiwan, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei Darussalam. Apart from being an international trade route, the South China Sea also has many sources of oil and natural gas that are being explored and have the potential to be explored. Besides that, the United States Energy Information Agency estimate that the South China Sea hold about 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas and 11 billion barrels of oil in proved and probable reserve, most of which lie along the margin of the South China Sea. Next, the United States Geological Survey in 2012 estimate that there could be another 160 trillion cubic feet of natural gas and 12 billion barrels of oil undiscovered in South China Sea. Other than that, the Spratly Island located in the South China Sea area is also one of the proof of the existence of invaluable resources. The Spratly Island have a strategic location both in terms of military and defense as well as an international trade route. Besides, the Spratly Islands are believed to have abundant oil and natural gas resources. The Spratly area is untapped and is believed to be a potentially resource-rich region possessing oil deposits, natural gas, fish, and other minerals. These maritime resources are much needed to sustain the fast-paced economic growth in the region. Therefore, it is not surprising that the South China Sea is an area that is widely claimed by the surrounding country, and many exploration activities are still active in operation, as well as areas that have the potential to be explored. Next, about the oil and gas exploration area in the South China Sea. There were various oil and gas exploration activity carried out in the South China Sea region, and there were commercially viable oil and gas resources in the South China Sea. As we know, the South China Sea is one of the largest marine ecosystems in the world, rich in natural resources and a source of livelihood for the communities living in the surrounding area. Among the countries that carry out oil and gas exploration activity in the South China Sea region are as follows. First, Malaysia. Malaysia has become one of the countries with territory in the South China Sea, so that Malaysia took the opportunity to explore the resource in its territory to improve the country's economic sector. Malaysia has carried out exploration activity located off the coast of Sabah. Kebabangan gas field is responsible for carrying out this exploration activity. The Kebabangan gas field is in the South China Sea and has 130 square kilometers off the coast of Sabah. The project began with the development of the Kebabangan field, and the production began in November 2014. The Kebabangan field is estimated to contain approximately 2 trillion cubic feet of gas. Second, Philippines. The Philippines also carry out oil and gas exploration activity in the South China Sea region. The Philippines is an archipelago located in the southeastern part of Asia, bordered by the Philippine Sea on the east and west, the Luzon Strait on the north, and the Celebes Sea on the south. Other than that, the widespread exploration activity in the Philippines were carried out from the 1950s century to 1970s century. The Philippines began exploring oil and gas in the western part of Palawan. The exploration moved into deeper waters of western Palawan in the 1980s century, with several relatively large fields being discovered, including the West Linapakan field in 1990. The Philippines also holds 1,038,500,000 barrels of proven oil reserve as of 2016. Third, Indonesia. Indonesia also has an oil and gas exploration in the South China Sea. Indonesia has long been known as a world natural gas producer. One of the oil and gas exploration areas carried out by Indonesia is in the South Natuna Sea Block B of the South China Sea. Exploration is actively being carried out, and the gas content in South Natuna is said to be the largest gas reserve in the Asia Pacific. The South Natuna Sea Block B contains numerous oil and gas fields from various sub-basins in Greater West Natuna. The block is in approximately 300 feet of the water and has 11 offshore platforms. The infrastructure supports 3 producing oil fields as well as 16 natural gas fields in various phases of development. That's all from me. Thank you. I will pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon everyone. I will continue to talk about the advantages for the claimant state in joining Malaysia developing hydrocarbon resource in the dispute areas. There are 4 advantages that have been identified. The first advantages for the claimant state in joining Malaysia developing hydrocarbon resource in dispute area is to stabilize the relationship between dispute parties. Most countries in Southeast Asia and Asia region commit overlapping in claim in South China Sea and causing many countries to be dissatisfied due to the unfair action. Therefore, many countries agree to do joint development because it has advantage which is can stabilize the relationship between dispute parties. For example, a commercial agreement that signed by Vietnam and Petronas in 1993 has led the establishment of Joint Commit to manage joint development area. JCC consists of 8 members equally nominated by Petronas and Petro-Vietnam with equal voting right. There are several arrangements between Petronas and Vietnam which these two states can use oil and gas fairly between both countries. Other than that, in the agreement also provide the policy guideline for management of petroleum operation in the defined areas. Secondly, the advantages of joint development is encouraging the transfer of technologies and expertise. This is because to detect oil in the sea, it requires an advanced technology. Therefore, it also requires a cooperation between developed countries such as China, Japan, United States and many others. In this context, countries that add to claim in the South China Sea such as Malaysia, China, Vietnam, Philippines and others need to cooperate to find oil because the technology used requires very high cost. For example, to find oil and gas source, it also need to use various geophysical imaging technology. Seismic reflection imaging remains the most widely used geophysical technique in hydrocarbon exploration. Thus, it requires cooperation and high technology between all countries. Thirdly, the advantages of joint development found is to provide an open employment opportunities to the people on both countries, especially in the excavation sectors. This is because instead of hostility between countries due to the overlapping areas in South China Sea, it is very great if both countries have the joint development because it can give employment opportunities to the people, as well as reduce the unemployment rate in the countries. For example, joint development that carry out between Malaysia and Thailand, which is JDA of approximately 7,250 square kilometers located offshore about 150 kilometers from Kota Baru, Kelantan, Malaysia and 260 kilometers from Songkhla, which is southern Thailand for mutual benefit of two countries. These benefits of joint development are national of Malaysia and Thailand are exercising an employment in the MTGA or GDA. This joint development also can provide a better opportunity and job opportunities for the people as much as 5,000 people and above. Finally, the advantages of Malaysia is conducting joint development with the claimant state can increase the country revenue. For example, MTGA has set an example of maritime co-prosperity in the region as MTGA has successfully contributed to the economies of both countries by US 10 billion. This body has been established for the past 40 years starting in 1979. This agreement also covers the sharing of costs and benefit from exploration and production activities in JDA under Production Sharing Context (PSC) at a ratio of 50-50 for 50 years. In addition, this MTGA is also a new crude that can benefit both countries. MTGA Co-Chairman Dr. Khurujit Nakontab and Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali also think that MTGA is able to provide employment opportunities in the next 40 years and can stimulate the national economies and infrastructure development. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Izzati. Now I will continue my part, which is I will explain about international legal regime governing joint development on marine resources. So following in discussion, we are focusing two sources in international law in this problem. Sources international law consists of international convention or treaty and judicial decision. So international conventions seem like it have an idea and argument that can be related. The joint development of oil and gas is actually solving that issue to the joint development in the disputed water. The purpose of international treaty is to ensure the stability of international treaties until they are recognized. The process of drafting international convention is intended to gain the approval of the contracting state or other topic protected by international law. So regarding to this topic, in Article 83 states and Article 74 of the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, pending agreement as provided the state concerned in a spirit of understanding and cooperation shall make every effort to enter into provisional agreement of a practical nature and during this transitional period not to jeopardize or hamper the reaching of the final agreement. Such arrangement shall be without prejudice to the final delimitation. Okay, next, in Article 142 of UNCLOS, it was stated that consultation, including a system of prior notification, shall be maintained with the state concerned, with a view to avoiding infringement of such right and interest. So meaning that in cases where activity in the area may result in the exploitation of resources lying within national jurisdiction, the prior consent of the coastal state concerned shall be required. So based on the UNCLOS 1982 in Article 279, it states about obligation to settle disputes by peaceful means, and it was state that state parties shall settle any dispute between them concerning the interpretation or application of this convention by peaceful means. Okay, now move to the next point, which is judicial decision. The International Court of Justice is an independent forum for dispute settlement that was established under the UN Charter. The purpose of this section is to illustrate the use of international law sources by the Malaysian government in justifying its maritime claim and explaining the decision. So, as for example, Tunisia and Libya joint exploration case study. So, under ICJ, this is how ICJ make decision whether which country will win role is to play a vital role in identifying and solving in international dispute, thereby maintaining peace and good relationship between states. In case study, their legal basis stems from Articles 74 and 83 of UNCLOS. Indeed, they appear to be most commonly used arrangement for overlapping claims area. International court and tribunal have also endorsed joint development agreement as an alternative to maritime delimitation in the North Sea continental shelf case.
The ICJ held that joint exploration agreements were particularly appropriate when it is a question of preserving opinion in the 1982 continental shelf delimitation case between Tunisia and Libya. So, by using this way, follow as stated in international convention and judicial decision, this probably will be a good solution on joint development of oil and gas resources in the disputed water. So I will pass to Aisha to continue our presentation. Thank you.
I will explain about Malaysia's involvement in joint development of hydrocarbon resources. The first one is Malaysia between Vietnam. Petroleum National Berhad Petronas, on behalf of Malaysia with Vietnam Oil and Gas Group, Petro-Vietnam, has signed a binding HEF agreement for the selling and purchase of additional gas. The agreement between both states has signed on March 15 in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam by Malaysia Petroleum Management Vice President Muhammad Zamri Yusof, while Petro-Vietnam was represented by its Vice President Nguyen. The main reason Malaysia and Vietnam had signed the agreement is a testimony to Petronas' dedication for supporting the development of the gas industry and enhancing socio-economic growth for both Malaysia and Vietnam. The agreement further strengthened the long-term relationship of the oil major with Vietnam, with the company looking forward to continue cooperation. Oil production began in 1997 from the Bunga Kek Wah field. Other producing fields are the East Bunga Kek Wah Kai Nuak, East Bunga Raya, West Bunga Raya, Northwest Bunga Raya, and Bunga Seroja field, all of which are located in the southeast portion of the block. The East Bunga Kek Wah Kai Nuak is a field and a portion of which extends into Vietnam Block 46, Chai Nuak, which is located within Vietnam Sea water and not within the border dispute area. The northern field consists of the Bunga Orchid and Bunga Pakma field. The second one is Malaysia between Brunei. Brunei is some independent country, rich in oil that depends on crude oil and natural gas export. There are also major overseas investment derived from domestic hydrocarbon production. Malaysia and Brunei have brought their diplomatic and economic relationship to new heights by signing an agreement to jointly explore and develop oil and gas in two depth water blocks of the Brunei-Sarawak border in northern Brunei. The agreement came about when Malaysia and Brunei managed to amicably settle the land and maritime boundary issue of Limbang. The agreement between Malaysia and Brunei to settle border dispute and the joint discovery and development of oil and gas was all the more noteworthy because both governments signed the agreement without resorting to any third party or obtaining a ruling from the International Court of Justice. The two parties also signed another head of agreement toward a provisional arrangement for joint development of Malaysia Gumusuk Field and Brunei Jagus East Field. The agreement established the joint development parameter for the field based on a provisional production and cost sharing arrangement until a further agreement is reached on the status of the field. The third one is Malaysia between Thailand. There are centuries of cultural, social and historical ties shared between Malaysia and Thailand. Another landmark in the current bond of traditional friendship between the two neighboring Asian countries was the creation of the Malaysia-Thailand Joint Authority, MTJA, in 1990. The area covered by the Malaysia-Thailand Joint Development Area is around 7,250 square kilometers and is created between the two countries by conflicting continental shelf claims. The center of JDA is 180 kilometers from the shore of Patani province, 260 kilometers from the shore of Songkhla, and 150 kilometers from Kota Bharu in the state of Kelantan, Malaysia. The arrangement also requires the sharing of costs and benefit under the production sharing contract from the exploration and production operation in the JDA
at a ratio of 50-50 for 50 years. This collaboration to ensure that it can be grow and strengthen the relationship between Malaysia and Thailand. There are several gas fields have been declared in the JDA as the end of 2007 standard cubic feet of proof and probable gas reserve have been discovered in some fields. Some of the fields also have minor oil accumulation. The fields are Block A18, whereby that they are located at Cakrawala, Bulan, and Suryawaya.
So, in conclusion, although there are issues of overlapping area and territory dispute in the South China Sea between Filipina, Malaysians, Vietnam, Singapore, Brunei, due to the range of marine resource that available in that area, but by joining development of oil and gas between nations and neighboring countries, this is give advantage to Malaysia be able to develop oil and gas that found in the dispute area in the South China Sea by using a method joint development of oil and gas with neighboring countries.